There's a lot of points to think about here. I mean, firstly, there's the issue of personalities of people being different from each other, and people with different personalities will approach this differently. So, like you, I'm an introvert. That's why I love working from home, and this has been my lifestyle for the past 10 years. But I'm also, I think, one way I'm different is that I've got a very thick skin. I really just don't care at all what anyone thinks of me. Like, someone can tell me to my face that they think I'm a kafir or something, and I'll laugh it off. It really doesn't bother me at all. uh, I think that makes the role I'm in much easier. Maybe Allah has given me that so I can handle this role. Most people can't. The average person can't handle that level of pressure. I know over the years I've worked with so many people who, as soon as the hate mail started coming in, they left the projects, they gave up the projects, they even stopped doing dawah altogether. Like, one hate letter was enough for a person to give up the dawah. And for
Mm.
me, that's been a consistent in my life for over 10 years now. And it's something that I literally laugh at. I mean, I literally made memes out of it. It's something
Mm.
that's completely normal for me,
Wow.
right? So I think having different personalities, it's one issue that's going to affect how we handle these kind of things. The other thing that it makes a big difference in terms of how I would handle it compared to how you would handle it is the roles Allah has chosen us for in the society is different. So for me, I've got this in my mind all the time that Allah has given me knowledge of the Deen. He's made me a Islamic student of knowledge, uh, and therefore I have a responsibility and amana to teach my community the correct understanding of Islam. And if I keep quiet on these issues, I am committing a sin. This is the mindset I have, that I am actually committing a sin if I don't speak up. If I just sit quietly and just let people teach things that I know is wrong, that I'm committing a sin. And so it kind of puts me in a situation where I've got no choice but to be the bad guy, to be the one telling people that, no, hold on, this is an alternative opinion. This is what the Quran says. This is what the Hadith says. This is what Abu Hanifa actually said. And kind of putting myself in a position because I see myself as, Allah put me through this journey because Allah wants me to play this role in society. And this is a responsibility, a kind of, it's a fardh kifaya for every community to have alims that do this. And in my community, I don't see any other alim doing it. Therefore, it falls on me to do it, right? So I'm kind of like have taking up an obligation here. Now, for the average person who follows me, I tell them don't get involved. Right? I tell them don't get involved. Keep it to yourself. Keep it private. Because the level of knowledge and skill and even uh, mental fitness needed to handle these debates, most people don't have it. It's more important that
Mm.
we work on our nafs, that we work on purifying our souls, that we work on our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of that is far more important than public debates and getting into fights with people and WhatsApp debates and Facebook debates. All of that becomes distractions, right? Somebody has to do it, but not everybody. So for the average Muslim who's going through this journey, I would say keep it as personal as possible. And when you're having these arguments with people, get an alim involved. So I've got a whole lot of people who, whenever something like this comes up, they WhatsApp me and they bring me into the WhatsApp discussion to resolve it, right?
Mm.
Because it takes a high level of knowledge of the deen to be able to deal with these issues. Alhamdulillah, because I've studied with Hanafi ulama, I've studied with Shafi ulama, I've studied with Maliki ulama, with Sufi ulama, with Salafi ulama. I can relate to all these different backgrounds, and I can talk to anyone from
Mm.
all of these backgrounds, and I can even quote their own books on issues where they're saying one thing and their book says something else, right? So I'm able to do that. So Alhamdulillah, that gives me an advantage. One thing I always try to tell people when it comes to dealing with these differences, or even with life in general, this is something I teach my kids all the time. For life in general, you have to grow a thick skin. If you don't grow a thick
Mm.
skin, people are just going to beat you pillar to post. You know, uh, I mean, also time we quoting Quran and Hadith. I know it's Ramadan. I shouldn't be quoting movies, but there's this movie Rocky Balboa where he has this
Uh-huh.
conversation with his son, and he tells him that life's gonna beat you and knock you down permanently if it can. You've
Yeah.
got to keep getting
Yeah.
back up. I
Mm.
I actually taken that quote and made it a life motto of mine. Like whenever I'm getting beaten
Subhanallah.
pillar to post by by the local ulama, I actually watch that Rocky Balboa quote and watch that clip of that movie because it's actually very true what he says. It's like Allah puts wisdom in the most strangest of places, Alhamdulillah, and that's really some
This
profound
is why
wisdom.
you get refuted, Sheikh. Exactly this.
No, a very funny thing happened to me about 10 years ago. So one of my friends in India quoted me to some hardcore Salafis in Australia, and they wrote a whole
Mm-hmm.
article refuting me, calling me the Sheikh of Lord of the Rings. And the whole refutation was based on the
Allah.
fact that I'm a fan of Lord of the Rings. So therefore, anything I say about the
Wow.
deen doesn't count. Like, what's one
Subhanallah.
topic got to do with the other? I'm an author. Every author loves Lord of the Rings because it's the greatest
Yeah.
work of fictional literature any human being has produced. Right? So
Subhanallah.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
sectarian people can't understand that. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, Allah knows best. People's minds are really strange. Growing a thick
Mm.
skin, yeah, for you, for anybody else, this is number one. If we can grow a thick skin, and for me, the what I look at is I always look at the early Muslims as my role models. The life of Imam Abu Hanifa, the way he was so uncompromising even when they put him in prison. um,
Subhanallah.
the
Yeah.
same thing with Ahmad ibn Hanbal, with Ibn Taymiyyah. I look at people like Imam al-Ghazali. Imam al-Ghazali, he was famous at a young age, and he gave all of that up and disappeared just to work on his nafs and just to sort out his own
Subhanallah.
intentions. These are my role models, and
Mm.
these are the people whose lives I keep reminding myself of. As you may know, I recently wrote a 300-page book on the life of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. uh,
Mm.
and that's really one of my primary role models, because Umar ibn Abdul Aziz was a man who went completely against the grain. I mean, he was an Umayyad
Mm.
prince, but he was from the Awliya. I mean,
Mm.
the idea
Yeah.
of an Umayyad prince becoming a wali, becoming a truly saintly figure in the history of Islam. Uh, and I mean, leave alone people turning against you and talking about you, his cousins literally killed him. I
Mm.
mean,
Yeah.
what level of social problems is worse than being killed by your own family? His
Mm.
cousins
Yeah.
had him poisoned, and he died in his 30s, at the age of 37, because of it. People like him are my role models. I look at them and I say that they did this, they understood this message, they understood this responsibility. We have to follow in their footsteps, and we have to be willing to do the same. We have to be willing to go through the same. Like, from the ulama alive today, my role model, my favorite role model, is Sheikh Salman Al Auda. Alhamdulillah, in
Mm. Subhanallah.
2007 and 2008, I had the blessing and opportunity to attend some of his lectures live and in person, and
Mm-hmm.
they had a profound effect in changing my understanding of fiqh and changing my understanding of this religion completely. And right today, I read his books. There are some books of his that I've read over and over again multiple times. His books on being a student of knowledge, and his books on dealing with differences of opinion. I've read those books multiple times because they really shape my understanding of these topics. He, for me, is
Mm.
a role model of what an alim needs to be. The fact that no matter what people have done to him, he remains uncompromising on his understanding of this moderate Islam and trying to preach it to people in a country and a place where moderation is not just frowned upon, but you're imprisoned for it. He's really a role model to me. Allah free him and release him, and grant him great rewards for everything that he's going through for the sake of our deen.
Ameen.
So,
Ameen.
alhamdulillah,
Ameen.
that's really, growing a thick skin is number one. If you can grow a thick skin and do things for the sake of Allah, nothing phases you. No matter what people say or do, nothing phases you, because it's all about Allah. It's not about this world. It's not about your reputation. It's not about whether you're famous or not. It's all about, are you doing work that's pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters.